Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be the ultimate foundation comparison. So, my confession is that I have a problem with buying foundation. I have so many different foundations in my makeup collection and I finally thought it was time to really precisely compare them all side by side. I often go through phases where I'll wear a foundation for a week or two, I kind of like it, then I'll change, and I've never really scientifically compared them all. So over the past 2 weeks I have tried out different foundations and I've worn each one for one day at a time. Obviously I filmed myself wearing it to see how it wears, how it applies, how much coverage it has, whether it oxidizes, all those kinds of things, and now I'm going to share the results with you. So day one is the Maybelline Fit Me, the original. I have got this in shade Ivory and I think it's probably too dark for me. The problem that I have with this one is it's too pink for my skin tone and that it goes on quite thick. It has quite a kind of sticky, greasy sheen. I tried applying it with a buffing brush, but you could see all the lines from the brush hairs. So I definitely think this is better with a beauty blender. The coverage isn't great. I've done about 3 layers and you can still kind of see bits of redness and stuff coming through, and I've actually already put a little bit of concealer under my eyes and on a couple of spots as well, so we'll see how it wears throughout the day, but so far this is not one of my favourites. So update on the Fit Me foundation. It is, I think it's oxidizing because it's definitely even more orange than before. It's definitely too dark for my skin tone. It's also reasonably sweaty, and I think it shows like the hairs on your face more. I don't know if that even makes sense, but for me it's definitely too shiny. I have already powdered once again on this on top of doing my original makeup powder, and it also seems to gather quite a bit at glasses lines and stuff. You can see it's pretty shiny. So I have oily skin, so if you have dry skin this might be good for you, but I find that it like gathers around different areas and I don't think it's really lasted particularly well today, so that's not one that I particularly love. This one I really like. I actually did a blog post on it already about trying it out in Egypt, which was like 100 degrees and how well it lasted, but I will still include it in this so you guys can see it on a real life day. So I think it has a tiny sheen to it. It's not like too cakey matte, but it is matte and it goes on. This is only one coat. I don't have any concealer on or anything. It's given really good coverage, I think, compared to yesterday where I didn't really have very much coverage at all, and I think it's really good. It's covered pretty well. It does like gather slightly because it's matte. It's a little bit clingy, but I think it's really good, so let's see how it wears. So update on the L'Oreal Infallible matte. I think it's lasted pretty well. I've actually been out for a little cycle ride, so it's had a pretty tough day, but there's a tiny bit of sheen on my forehead maybe, but I think it's pretty good. I'm very happy with this one. It's not too matte that it's kind of dry. Feels pretty comfortable to wear. It's reasonably thin. The coverage is good. It lasts well. I'm really impressed with this one. I'd say this is probably going to be one of my favorites. Good morning guys, so today is an expensive one. It's Creme de la Mer, the SPF 18 Fluid Tint. This one isn't entirely a fair test because it's kind of a tinted moisturiser rather than a foundation, but when I was working there I was wearing this every day as a foundation and I do think it actually, I mean it doesn't give flawless coverage, like, you know, there is still redness coming through, but it does, this is a couple of layers and it does kind of give a bit of colour. It's the kind of coverage where your freckles and stuff still show through, so it's kind of natural, but I do find once I put concealer on with this, it actually gives a reasonably flawless face in a kind of natural way, and as you can probably tell, I'm trying to do it in sunlight, it's reasonably dewy, kind of reflective. It's quite sticky to the touch, like reasonably heavy, but I have put several layers on to try and get some decent coverage, so if you want just a tinted moisturiser, you might not need to do it as thick as this, but let's see how it lasts once I put the rest of my makeup on. So update on the Creme de la Mer. I feel like when I look in the mirror I really like how this looks, and then when I look on the camera, this camera is super unforgiving, which is why I've chosen it for this video so you guys can get a really in-depth look. But it is reasonably dewy, but it's kind of flawless. I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about this one. Like I said, in the mirror I really like it and it looks kind of like natural and flawless and healthy, but then, you know, it's given way to my glasses. It's kind of shiny, there's not much coverage, especially my chin, and this is after I've put concealer on. So I think if you like a low coverage kind of glowy, healthy, natural one, then this is really good, but for me, for a proper foundation, it's probably not the one for me. This is probably the most expensive ones that I'm going to review, but I do really like them. What you do is you put a couple of drops into any base that you like. I have done it into my sun cream, so I have finished putting on the rest of my makeup, and this I think might be my favourite foundation. It's really thin and light to wear. It's matte, but it's not cakey. I love that you can mix it with anything, and I think the coverage is amazing. I literally use 3 drops of it mixed in with my sun cream to do this foundation, and it's really high coverage. If you use like 5 by accident, it's way too thick. It's also amazing as a concealer if you want just the tiniest drop for stuff, but I haven't been doing that yet. But I know on Tati's video where I got the recommendation, that's what she does, but I just really love it. It's very light to wear. It's definitely not dewy, but it's kind of just healthy, like slightly radiant. So, update on the Cover FX drops. I feel like it looks better in real life than on camera. It's reasonably glowy by now, and it has worn away a little bit here. But today has been a very stressful foundation day because it's really hot and I've been filming videos, so I've been taking clothes like on and off and messing up my hair and my face a lot. Overall, I really love this foundation. It looks really healthy, it's thin to wear, but it has excellent coverage, and I just think it's gorgeous. They have a billion different colours, you hardly use anything, so I think it's going to be okay value for money, but I would really highly recommend it. I think it might be my favourite. Good morning guys, so today is the L'Oreal True Match. I have got it in Rose Vanilla. This one is immediately a bit too shiny for me. It's a bit sheeny, it kind of sits on top of your skin. The coverage is like okay, I mean my spots are still showing through, but I would kind of expect that. So the coverage is pretty decent, it's quite lightweight to wear, but for me it's a little bit too sweaty. So this is the finished True Match look. It definitely doesn't have shine anymore now that I've powdered and everything. I think it actually looks really nice, but we'll see how it lasts. I predict that it's going to go kind of sweaty quite quickly. Alright, update on the True Match. I really like how this looks, like from a distance. I think it looks very healthy, kind of radiant, but still quite makeup-y. Like I still look like I'm wearing makeup, and it's nice coverage, but it's just gone a bit weird. I don't know if it's going to show on the camera, but it's kind of all separated a bit, and my sunglasses have totally wrecked it, and all around my nose, and my chin's kind of shiny, and my moustache is kind of dry, and like if you zoom in I don't think it's that good, but from a distance it looks really nice. So my thoughts are that maybe with a good primer that would kind of lock it in and protect it so that it has a better staying power, then I think that would be really good. But I love how it looks. It's just the right amount of glowy without being too sweaty, and I've just spent like 4 hours on the beach, so it should be pretty sweaty with my oily skin, but I'm really impressed with it. I just think you need to find the perfect kind of mattifying or like really grippy primer. Good morning guys, today is the Rimmel Stay Matte. This one is very thick, so I am expecting it to indeed stay matte, but it's going to be a much heavier one to wear, so if you don't like applying a heavy foundation, this is not going to be for you. But the coverage seems very good. I think it has a slight sheen, considering it's supposed to be super matte, but I mean it is matte. Okay, so I've put on the rest of my makeup for the Rimmel Stay Time. I don't love it, like it is very thick, so you get full coverage, but some of the other ones I've tried you've had really full coverage without having to have such thickness. And I did powder a reasonable amount, which I wouldn't have expected with a matte foundation, but I think maybe because it's so thick it's kind of silicone-y, so it had a bit of a sheen on top. Update on the Rimmel Stay Matte. Basically super unimpressed. It's not matte. I've only been wearing it for like a short day, like half a day, and it's already really shiny. I desperately need to powder, like this is not cool. Today is the Superstay Better Skin, which is by Maybelline. I've done a second layer under my eyes already and under a few spots, and you can still, it's not amazing coverage considering it's quite a thick gel-like consistency, but I quite like the glow. So I've finished my makeup for the day. Aside from being a little bit too orange, I do actually really like it. It's got a little bit of a propensity to go cakey, like my forehead. Maybe it's my own fault for putting too much on by accident, but it can gather and be a bit patchy. So I've only been wearing the Maybelline Better Skin now for a couple of hours, and already the verdict's in. I don't like it. It's just too oily for me. My skin is coming through as really shiny, like, oh, I'm dying to powder, and it's only been like a couple of hours. So this one, not for me, but if you have dry skin, possibly. Okay, so today is the Nars Sheer Glow. This is obviously a total cult classic. It's looking extra light on camera. It doesn't look so bad in real life. But the thing about this one is the name is quite misleading because it's not glowy at all. It has a kind of powdery finish, which I actually quite like because it's matte without being too heavy. And the sheer part is also not very true. It's on its way to full coverage. It's not super full coverage, but I find that it feels feather light to wear. It's very thin, but it does give almost full coverage. So I have done the rest of my makeup for the Nars Sheer Glow, and it makes such a nice base. It's just really like slightly powdery, flawless, kind of, it's good. So like I said, it doesn't really last very well throughout the day as much, but it makes such a nice base of foundation. I actually didn't put any concealer under my eyes today, and I always do that, but it just seemed to give enough coverage. I guess it has quite good colour correcting maybe. The shine is coming through. I haven't really been out in the heat today, like I've been indoors, so it is pretty shiny. Like I said, I have really oily skin, so like maybe this wouldn't happen for you, but it still looks really nice. It isn't like gathering too much. I mean, the coverage isn't amazing, but I definitely would want to repowder at this point. So the glow part of the name is starting to make sense. It's also gone a little bit darker, like a little bit more orange, so I think it oxidizes and goes shiny. So today is the 17 Stay Time 24-hour full coverage foundation. This one is probably the cheapest of all the ones I'm reviewing. It's a total bargain, and it says it's full cover, and boy is it full cover. This is practically like stage makeup. If you want a really high coverage, it's very thick, it's like very gummy, you have to really massage it in. So I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a matte full coverage that is gonna stay all day. This is great if you're going out maybe. It's just not gonna budge because it practically is glue. Feels a bit like glue. Okay, so this is the Stay Time with the rest of my makeup on, and I do really like it. It is very full coverage, so I feel like you can kind of, I mean, you can see that I'm wearing quite a lot of makeup. I really like the finish of it. It's a little bit glow from within. It's like slightly glowy. I haven't put anything under my eyes, which I always really like because it means it's kind of less built up cakey. Because the coverage is just so good. I haven't used any concealer at all, under eye blemishes, nothing. It looks great on my pores compared to the Poreless that I tried the other day by Maybelline, which seemed to really highlight all my pores. This one just seems really good, I think. I really like it. Update on the Stay Time. I'm really impressed. I think it has gone slightly shiny on my chin, like I am kind of ready to powder there, and it does feel like it's been really hot today, and it does kind of feel quite hot, like you're wearing a lot of makeup, but it's lasted really well. It hasn't gone patchy, it hasn't gone dry or too oily compared to some of the other ones, and it's supposed to last 25 hours, which I don't know, but I think it would last pretty well. Like, I'm really impressed with it. I would recommend this one, especially considering it's crazy cheap. Good morning. So today I'm doing the Milani Conceal and Perfect foundation. I've heard some really good things about it from other YouTubers that I really like, but I got the shade 02 Natural, which apparently is the one that Fleur de Force uses, and it is so orange. Like, this is not gonna work. Okay, so I've put on the rest of my makeup and I think we might be salvaged. I really like the finish. It's like slightly powdery, kind of airbrushy. It wasn't full coverage, like I had a spot around the side that I've put concealer on. I've put a little bit of concealer under my eyes, but it's pretty decent coverage and it looks quite natural. It claims to be sweat proof, and today is a hot day, so let's put it to the test. Okay, update on the Milani. It has gone a bit shiny. I feel the need to powder my chin and maybe my forehead, and it doesn't show up so much in real life, but I feel like on the camera there's loads of like red patches coming through. Obviously my glasses, that just is state of my life, but it's not being amazingly durable, but I quite like it. It's like a little bit shiny, but not too, you know, it's got a kind of powdery finish except for where my kind of sweat's starting to come through, so I think it's okay. I'm not obsessed. Morning guys, so today is going to be the Revlon 24-hour Colourstay. As you can tell, I have used and loved this. I reckon I can manage to get one more use out of it, so this will be the test today of whether I repurchase. So this morning is bringing back all the reasons why I used to love that foundation. I think I'm definitely going to get it again. It's much thicker than some of the other ones I've tried, but I really like it. It's quite a good all-rounder. It's not super matte and it's not super shiny. It has very good coverage. Like, I think I could get away with not using concealer, and I seem to remember it lasts really well, so let's give it a go. Okay, so the conclusion of the Colourstay, this might be my winner. I'm gonna do a proper roundup at the end of which ones I really like, but this is good. Look, it's lasted so well. It's not super matte like the Infallible matte, but I like that because it's a bit more healthy. It just, like the Infallible matte can maybe look a bit tired because it's so matte, but I mean, look, you can't even see my glasses line. This never happens. So it's a bit thicker to wear, like it is a bit heavier. It's not as light as the True Match or something, but it lasts so nicely. I'm really impressed. The coverage is good. It's really affordable, and yeah, it's matte, but it's not drying. It's kind of got that balance of like healthy looking skin. So this one I actually really like for kind of medium coverage. It definitely gives some colour and a bit of coverage, but I mean it doesn't cover like full out blemishes, and you can still kind of see like red patchiness. But I like it. I think it's a nice tone. It's a little bit glowy, but I know that once I put powder on and stuff, it tones it down. So here is the finished look with the Bourjois Healthy mix. I really like it because it's kind of medium coverage. It's not very cakey, so you do have to use a bit of concealer on top, but at least it means that it's quite comfortable to wear. It's not as thin as like the L'Oreal True Match, but it's pretty nice. So we'll see how the glow comes through throughout the day now that I've powdered, and see how it wears. Okay, so update on the Bourjois Healthy mix. It's gone quite sweaty, I won't lie. I don't think I've got healthy glow, I think I've just got sweaty, but I haven't powdered at all, and it's really, really hot today. So I think that's fair. I wouldn't say powder once or twice during the day if you have oily skin like me, but otherwise, I think it's lasted reasonably well. It's not perfect, but I think it's pretty good. It hasn't really creased. I've been wearing a bike helmet today, and it seems to have still survived on my forehead, so yeah, I'm pretty impressed. This you can only get in Europe, but I'm pretty sure it's almost exactly the same as the Maybelline Dream Matte Mousse, and I wanted to include a mousse foundation in this. So I really like this one. I think it'd definitely be no good if you have dry skin or older skin. Like if you have fine lines, it's already kind of gathering a bit around my eyes. I wouldn't really recommend it for under eyes. I would use a different concealer for that, but it gives that kind of Instagrammy, like blurred effect, and I think it's really nice. It feels very lightweight to wear. I don't think it would be terribly buildable because it's quite silicone-y, so I think it might start to get a bit slippy, and I don't know how well it will last throughout the day, but I really like the finish. It's very matte, it's medium coverage. I mean, you can still see blemishes and stuff. Okay, so I've put the rest of my foundation on top of the Catrice mousse, and I do really like it. The problem with all matte foundations is they make you look slightly more tired. I guess with a more dewy foundation you just look a bit more awake, so I think I do look a little bit tired, like I could do with a face mask or a kind of injection of life, but then I guess that's where you just put darker eyes on. But yeah, I really like it. It's a very like good primer base because it's matte. I haven't put any powder on. I've obviously done powder, blusher and bronzer and stuff, but I haven't put any powder like on my chin, for example. Okay, so update on the Catrice mousse foundation. I really like it. I haven't been particularly out in the heat or anything today, so I'm not 100% sure how well it would last. I still suspect it won't last very well just because it's a bit silicone-y, but I really like the finish of it. Come on, focus. Yeah, it seems to be lasting pretty well. It does gather a bit, but I mean, I haven't powdered at all. I didn't put any powder on this morning, so the matteness of it is really, really good. And yeah, it seems to be lasting really nicely. So there we are. I feel like I've been trying out foundations for so long now, but I really hope it's been useful for you. I'm going to include a proper description down below, or maybe a blog post of like detailed written instructions of how I found them all. But basically, these ones are the fails. These ones are the kind of middle of the road okay, and these ones are the winners. If I had to pick one #1 favourite, it would probably be the Revlon Colourstay, because I really liked how it lasted throughout the day. It stayed really matte, it stayed very flawless, kind of airbrushy. I really hope you've enjoyed this. Leave me a comment down below with what's your favourite foundation, and don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye! As you guys might know if you watch my channel, I travel a lot, and I mostly actually live abroad, so I'm kind of always living out of a suitcase, so I have quite a few beauty travel essentials.